What are you a stand for? What will you be a stand for? What are you so passionate about, so connected to, that you are willing to get uncomfortable to present that, to represent that in your community? And it doesn't have to be one thing. It doesn't have to be child sex trafficking only. It doesn't have to be mass media manipulation. It doesn't have to be the atrocities that are occurring in certain regions of the world and being a stand for those. It doesn't have to be the protection of our oceans and our reef systems and so forth. It can be a number of different things, but what are you a stand for? What do you represent? What do you believe in? Now, in order to represent anything really cohesively and comprehensively, in order to believe in a cause or a set of causes so deeply, we must believe in ourselves. We must know who we are. That is something that we lack today in this world. We lack this knowing self. We're so preoccupied with what's happening in our world. We're so preoccupied with this sensory overload that is coming to us through, mindlessly scrolling on social media as an example, or watching TV, or having to keep up with the Joneses, or having to be better than someone else, the person next to you, or having to accumulate status, wealth, possessions. In that, we lose ourselves and we don't know who we are, and we lose what's really important, wanting to stand for something. Because we get lost in the busyness of life, of the world. We get lost in the clutter. And so can you unclutter or declutter your life in order to connect to who you are? And let me tell you something, you may not like that initially. You may not resonate with who you connect to initially, because we're not just made up of love and light. We're also made up of heaviness and darkness and shadow. And can you explore that part of yourself, which is really uncomfortable and an undesirable place to go? Can you explore that with a greater level of intrigue? Because when you do, and if you do, you begin to open up this gateway into a whole version of self. And when that whole version of self ceases to be fragmented and fractured, you begin to develop a healthy sense of self. And then you get really clear on what you can be a stand for. Then you start questioning things a little differently. Then you begin to engage in more critical thinking, open-heartedness, and connection to what is in your environment, as opposed to isolating and numbing because you're scared of seeing the whole of who you are. You're scared to really look into the mirror. That was tough for me, to really look into the mirror and say, yeah, this is all of who I am. Now what do I do? Well, that's another story for another time. Can you look at yourself in the mirror and not only make a stand for what's important to the world, but what's important to you?